Fire for them, fire for them. If you're looking for that 35 bag umbrella and all damn thing there, keep it locked with DISUNOMICS podcast.
What's going on, people? Another episode of Monday Morning News, and let's get straight into it. Firstly, everybody's rattles. When I was giving my rather timely prediction, or not prediction, more of a bit of advice for the government, because I know Boris is watching, and that I don't think we should go ahead with the easing on June 21st. I was looking at the numbers: 7,000 cases, 8,000 cases, 6,000 cases. Hospitalizations are starting to rise slightly. The number of cases increased by 60% within a week due to the Delta variant. What's a Delta variant? That is the Indian variant. The Alpha one's the Kent one. Now, remember, earlier I was describing how the Alpha variant was more transmissible, hence why we saw more and more people catching COVID, and then which led to, unfortunately, a lot of deaths. This Delta variant, according to Health Secretary Matt Hancock, is in fact 40% more transmissible than the Alpha variant. And what we've also seen is that it is more resistant to the current vaccinations. So whereas before, one dosage of the Pfizer or Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine will give you a lot of protection, one dosage of these vaccinations do not give you anywhere near the same amount of protection. It reduces the protection that you receive. I believe 2 dosage of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccination protects about 60-something% against this Delta variant, and Pfizer up like 80%. So it's more resistant against the vaccinations. It's more transmissible, so there is some room to be cautious, especially as not everybody has been fully vaccinated. A lot of adults have. Almost 80% of adults have had 1 dosage. Over 55% of adults have had 2 dosage. But remember, that's just adults. There's also children or whatever have you may. So I was like, maybe we should delay this easing for a little bit to make sure you get more and more people actually vaccinated. Now, the rumors and what the streets will be saying, ministers, especially the Prime Minister, are hinting that there could be a delay in this June 21st, basically freedom, do you know what I mean? To freedom, word to Nicki Minaj. So what's happening? So Prime Minister Boris Johnson even speaking to BBC saying any easing of coronavirus lockdown restrictions are irreversible. We're not trying to spin the block. So we have to be cautious. And he's been saying that. But funny thing is that 2 weeks ago, he was saying, I don't see no reason why, but there's been a lot of pressure from senior medical officials to ease this. So I was doing some research and I saw the University of Warwick, they've done some modelling. And they believe that if we go ahead as planned and ease lockdown restrictions on June 21st, we could see potentially even a higher peak in terms of hospitalizations due to the rate in which things are going in terms of infections. Now, if we delay for 2 weeks, that will give us enough time to vaccinate, to fully vaccinate a further 4.75 million and give an additional 2 million people their first dosage. And they said with that model, they saw that hospitalizations could reach the peak level. So it's not even guaranteed that could pattern it like that. However, if we delay for an additional 2 weeks, or 4 weeks in total, you can get 9.5 million people fully vaccinated and over 4 million people with the first dosage. That's a significant difference that 30 days could potentially make. So that is why we are seeing the talk we're seeing right now. Obviously, if Monday evening, go on DISUNOMICS Twitter or Instagram, there will be a breakdown of what Boris says, assuming he's going to address the public, which he is, and obviously probably a video. So by the time this is out, you might already know. Who knows? So that's some of the big things on the news. And it's interesting. I think we will see a lot of vaccinations currently because within the last week, Matt Hancock announced that people between the ages of 25 and 29 are now able to book vaccinations. So that was on Tuesday, the 8th of June, if I remember correctly. And over 1 million people booked vaccinations on day, which is just insane. That's almost double or 3 times the amount on the previous day. So this is kind of quelling the fears that young people are not going to take the vaccination. We've seen them sign up in the millions. Now, they'll probably receive information. I got a text saying, yo, here's how you pattern your vaccination. Da, 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 da. Obviously, man's jabbed up. You get me? So, man don't really need that. Like, man had that VIP settings for those fucking anti-vaxxers out there. But jokes aside, so we're going to hopefully see some young people get the vaccination, and hopefully we are protected. So I know a lot of people were like, oh, you can't say this. We can't keep doing lockdowns. Da, da, da. If you take it in, we're not really locked down. Like, people are able to do almost anything and everything they want. We're just, the larger gatherings are a bit calmer, but people back in sports stadiums, people go to restaurants, people at the gym, cinema, da, 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 da. We're almost there, people. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get there. Now, some interesting news, still on the political landscape. Boris Johnson. Now, Boris Johnson has been down bad several occasions this year, whether it's accusing Dominic Cummings of falsely leaking something, whether it's him doing a madness in terms of getting some people to pattern out his flat via Tory donations. He's always in some form of mix-up. And the latest mix-up is regarding the G7 summit. By the time you've watch this or start to view this, it would have been concluded. So what is the G7? G7 is a group of 7 advanced economies in developing nations, which includes I'm trying to share. It includes Canada, America, Japan, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, and France. It was actually the G8 back in 1998. Russia involved, but Russia started doing some mad things in China, so they got booted out in 2014. So they come together. They can't pass any laws, but they could write statements and just come together with the expertise or what have you may. So this year, UK has presidency, so it was held in Cornwall. Now, Boris has gotten a bit of a palaver because he took a plane from London to Cornwall. And people like, obviously, the global health was the key thing on the agenda, but trade as well as climate change was on the agenda. And Boris is out here jumping on a chartered plane. Now, the reason why this is controversial is because, first of all, you could have jumped on a train, you could have jumped in a car. Obviously, the journey is 5 hours, but those are more carbon efficient ways of doing things. Now, using the methodology set out by the government, for commercial flights, each passenger traveling the same distance, and Boris travelled 248 miles from London to Cornwall, contributes about 97 kilos, so that's about 15 stone and 3 pounds worth of carbon dioxide to the Earth's atmosphere. And that's on a commercial flight. Think about how many people are on a commercial flight. Now then think about how many people were probably on Boris's chartered flight. It's highly unlikely that it was anywhere near the same amount of people on a standard commercial flight from London to Paris, for example. So Boris clearly is putting a heavy carbon footprint, let alone his 55 kilometer or mile journey from wherever his residence is in London to the airport. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't a full car, probably just himself and a driver or maybe one other person. So yeah, big, heavy carbon footprint for Boris Johnson. So people, of course, giving him stick. Number 10, official statement said, ministers are required to make essential visits across the country for government business. The security authorities allow a wide variety of transport in order for this to be done safely and efficiently. So they're saying, listen, business is business. We're allowed to do things safely, But obviously, it was not a good look for Boris. To round up, got to look at the economy. And the UK economy grew 2.2% in April. So this is some positive economic news. This is the largest growth in the economy on a month-to-month basis since July last year. And of course, this is linked to non-essential shops opening again and retail start to pick up. So we're still 3.7% behind our pandemic peak. So we're still down in terms of totality, but there's small climb. So obviously you've got people going back into retail shops again. You got people buying cars, people buying caravans. People are now able to travel across the country. So people are now going to London or Birmingham or whatever and spending their money. The Chancellor said that more than 1 million people came off the furlough scheme in March. And that's obviously, in May. And that's obviously due to the fact that, in March, That's due to the fact that shops are now starting to open and businesses are starting to open. So more and more people do not need to be furloughed. They could get back into work. Clothing saw an increase. So my eyes are burning. Clothing saw an increase of 69.4%. Naturally, now Uniqlo, Zara, Selfridges, all these places are now open. People are spending their money. So keep spending the money, keep getting them pounds circulating. I know it's summer, so I know people are going to be enjoying, but yeah, hopefully our economy gets better. Obviously, comment below on what you've purchased so far now that streets are open, what you think of Boris's trip in these nice plane. And of course, let me know what you think. Should we extend the current phase of lockdown or should we ease it? Let me know what you think. On to next week. Peace and blessings. Bow.